to the Shuttle Bus as this week we are discussing Early Birdie. We are your hosts, Sapph and Faithe. Welcome to the Shuttle Bus podcast. Welcome to Shuttle Bus podcast. I'm your host, Sapph, and I'm here with my co-host, Faithe. Say hello.
Hello.
Today we are discussing Early Birdie and our thoughts. Faithe, do you want to open up with your first point?
Yes, I shall do that. Um, my first point is the record scratches. We discussed this a little bit, but I like the record scratches. I don't know. It just adds this really nice. Because this will go into a point I'm going to make later, but it just adds this like subtle tone to it that just mixes so well with everything else, and it just adds this extra layer to it that it really just brings it all together. I think I don't know, it creates just a good atmosphere. I don't know what the atmosphere is or how to like describe it, but it just creates a good like dong atmosphere.
I absolutely agree. When you said atmosphere, my brain just thought of Air Traffic, which is
Ooh,
actually on
yes.
the same album. So I did want to point out, because this is really, really cool. Both of our favorite albums is Maybe I'm Dreaming. So I think it's really cool that we're kind of starting a podcast with a song that's from the same album that we really enjoy. So that's kind of neat.
Right. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like not early Birdie, but I feel like Maybe I'm Dreaming is probably the most well put together Owl City album. It flows together so nicely. Each song is uniquely its own, yet it fits so perfectly within that Maybe I'm Dreaming sound.
Absolutely.
It's probably the most well flowing album that he has created, in my opinion.
I think that's really true. I like the fact that everything kind of has a similar sound. I will make a point because I think it's interesting that how do I say it? It's trying to think. All of the songs are unique in their own way because of the names and things like that. You know, you've got Super Lunar Honeymoony, and it doesn't make any sense with Early Birdie at all. Or On the Wing. On the Wing actually fits Early Birdie now that I'm thinking.
Yeah, Early Birdie, On the Wing, I'm There, or Meet Me.
Yeah.
What is it? Meet Me There, whatever it is.
I'll meet you there.
Meet
Yeah.
You There, whatever the song's called. Man,
Oh.
here I am
Yeah, but
proclaiming
they
it's
have
like
a
one of
very
my
good.
favorite albums, and I can't even get the song names right.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. No, I blank on stuff all the time. Um, but absolutely, I agree. To bring it back to your first point, I absolutely love the record scratching. That's my second point.
Yes, it is. I don't know. It just makes it. I don't know. It's beautiful. That's all I can say.
I have to agree.
It just makes me very happy to hear it.
I think for what is it, my third point, I guess, the first couple are very similar because I know we've discussed this somewhat, but we haven't discussed this a lot, just so that we make sure that we're both kind of surprised about it. But my third point is the chimes that carry the melody. I love that so much.
Mm-hmm. The chimes and the synths are amazing on this particular song. The more I've listened to it, because I've really listened to it a lot in the past week. Because this kind of goes into one of my points is the mixing on this song is phenomenal. Specifically the way everything's layered. Because I have multiple points that kind of lead into the same thing. But I love the kind of the maximalist approach. There are like so many layers in this. There's so many
Nice.
things going on at the same time. Um, and it's just, and yet it doesn't sound overcrowded. It is all
Mhm,
mixed together perfectly, and they all flow together with like beautiful harmony and
mhm.
make beautiful song. But like, I love the maximalist kind of approach that just there's so much going on at once.
I kinda wish you could see my face right now because honestly, I was just thinking about that. I was like, the way she said maximalist, that is exactly what the album is, but especially that song, and I love that. I love that way of describing it.
But and that's the thing I love about maybe I'm dreaming is the whole album is very, I would say, maximalist in the way he layers it and everything.
Mhm,
Like so many sounds going on at once. He uses more than one synth, I'm sure. You can hear it kind of. I don't exactly know how many, but you can tell there's very there are many different things layered throughout.
mhm.
But yet it doesn't make it sound harsh. It's very soft still. And I don't know
Oh
how
my
he
gosh.
manages to do that.
I absolutely agree. That kinda leads me to another point, which was kind of my last point, but at the same time, I was listening to the end of the song, and like you, of course, I've listened to it several times this week, which I feel like I should listen to it more because it's my favorite album. But
Probably.
at the same time, uh, obviously, we've put a lot of effort into this podcast. So, of course, we wanted to do our research, just make sure we're clear on everything that we're saying. So, but the vocals are so good. They're so soft.
Mhm.
At the end, they're clean and they're clear, but at the same time, they kind of have a fuzzy edge, like a piece of felt.
Ooh, yes. I like that because that was a point I meant to write down, but I didn't. Was
Hey.
the way Adam uses autotune. And a lot of people say,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, well, Adam uses autotune and all this." And like, yeah, that's very true. But people tend to say it as a negative,
Mm-hmm.
but I see it as far from a negative, and because Adam uses autotune as another instrument,
Right.
he better use his voice as another instrument.
I agree. And as he's gotten more fine tuned with his voice and mature and things like that, his voice really has grown into more of a natural. It's gotten deeper, and I know that's something that a lot of people do not like. I don't understand it, but it's just him growing as a musician, and
Hmm.
he uses a lot less auto tune than he used to, and I think that's good. But I know that's getting into the future, and we're kind of trying to focus on this podcast.
Right.
Oh my
Gotta
gosh.
rein it back in a little bit. But yeah, because so back to your his voice sounding like felt
Hmm.
point. Um, that was a weird transition, but we're gonna go with it.
No.
So your idea of his voice sounding very soft, kind of brings me to my other point, which wasn't necessarily about his vocals, but about the song
Mhm.
itself. Was once again, I already said that the track is very maximalist. There's a lot of layering going on. So many different instruments are being played into this, and yet it doesn't make it sound like there's too much. Um,
Mhm.
at first listening, like you don't really notice how much is actually going on until you sit down and listen to it. And like I
Right.
was listening to the intro, I'll get to my point here in a minute. Um, but I was listening to the intro and like at the very beginning of the intro, before we even like get to the vocals or whatever, very soft tapping noise. Like this very soft
Mhm.
like ting sound, like just a couple of times, and it's
Um,
very subtle. And I noticed the more I listen to it, there's more and more subtle little sounds like that I have noticed that I didn't notice before, and it just adds once again to the maximalist feel of it, but without making it sound too like there's too much.
right.
It actually, I would say that Early Birdie has a very soft and rounded sound to it. Like
Mhm.
it's not harsh at all. It's just kind of it's very soft. It kind of gives you this feeling of like floating, I would say. That's like the
Ooh.
best way I can like
Yeah.
describe it and like visualize it.
Mhm.
So yeah, your point on his voice, that sounding like felt, like a fuzzy piece of felt,
Mhm.
reminded me of that. It's just I don't know. A- and that's why I like the whole Maybe I'm Dreaming album in general, and especially Early Birdie. It gives this very soft, floating feel.
Yeah. With that point, where you kinda say or you said that it was angelic and the whole thing is just really round, I guess, spherical, whatever.
Yes.
Uh, I really like that contrast because he kinda brings in that snappy beat, which is very like a coarse almost sound, and I really like that a lot, so it kinda contrasts with everything, but it just give it that pop that it really needs.
Right. Because it really just brings it all together nicely.
Exactly. It's well-rounded.
Well rounded. I think that's a really good way to put um, Early Birdie. People say he peaked at Ocean Eyes, but really it was Maybe I'm Dreaming.
Right?
I'm gonna make some people mad. I haven't been
Oh,
all downhill since Maybe I'm Dreaming.
oh no. Just a disclaimer, guys, Faith does not mean this.
But do
But no,
I?
seriously. Oh, do you? Oh, do you?
No. Okay, so Maybe I'm Dreaming is definitely my favorite album, but
Mhm.
also equally Coco Moon is my favorite album, so I kind of have to
Um,
like the new stuff to like the old stuff too, so.
absolutely. I agree. I agree. I love Ocean Eyes just because it was the first thing that I heard. But I feel like maybe I'm dreaming was the sweet spot for me just because it's kind of between that otherworldly sound, but also kind of gives you a sense of belonging. Like it fits really well with the rest of his music. And I love that.
Yeah, I think Maybe I'm Dreaming is like the golden child of his music, you know? It's like when I
Yes.
think Owl City, I think of Maybe I'm Dreaming style.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And he kind of brings that into Ocean Eyes, but it's something that was born somewhere else, you know?
Right. I feel like Ocean Eyes, whether it's intentional or not, it's more produced. You know,
Exactly.
like I feel like he was getting into it and he's like, okay, I'm actually going to be a music producer and writer and singer now. And so, like, I
Mm-hmm.
got to be professional. But, like, I feel like Maybe I'm Dreaming is truly Adam. And I feel like this is an interesting point. I feel like that's why Maybe I'm Dreaming and Coco Moon are my two favorite albums because those feel like the most authentic Adam albums.
Mm-hmm.
Those just kind of encapsulate the idea of Owl City within those two albums is kind of how I feel about it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It's a really good way of showing the I don't know how to say it. It's kind of like a spectrum. There we go, spectrum. It's the produced, but it's also the kind of like fluff that I feel like represents Adam really well.
Mhm.
It's almost like an if you think about it, maybe I'm dreaming is almost like the dream of a child. And then you've got Ocean Eyes, who is like the full-fledged adult, you know?
Yeah, I see what
Um,
you mean.
my last point is the video game sounds, the 8-bit.
Ooh, the 8-bit sound.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
that's another good thing about 'cause I feel like you see that a lot throughout Maybe I'm Dreaming, and that's another great thing about Maybe I'm
Mhm,
Dreaming is that, like, 8-bit sound that you kinda see
mhm.
throughout Maybe I'm Dreaming and Of June.
Ooh, of June. That's a good point too. I haven't thought about that in terms of like the 8-bit or anything like that. That's a good point.
Hello Seattle. The of June Hello
Oh,
Seattle. Very 8-bit sound.
right, all
It's
right.
very 8-bit sound. I won't get too much into that just because that's not what we're discussing. But we'll have
No,
future
I
episodes
get
for
it.
that.
That's
But yeah,
fine.
no.
Yeah. I feel like in some of his edits, he also kind of gets into 8-bit. I'm sorry. It kind of into the 8-bit sound, especially with Good Time. There's a lot of the remixes that kind of do that. But
Mm, yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of well, obviously, what is it, Halcyon? That one definitely has. I can't remember how to
uh
pronounce that word. Halcyon, I think is how it's pronounced. I don't entirely remember. I've looked it up a few times, but
don't
I
worry,
always
the Owl
forget.
City fandom won't
But
get
that one
mad at you.
definitely that one definitely has an 8-bit sound. But that's
Hmm.
very intentional because it's referencing video games or
Right,
a video
right.
game. It's referencing Pac-Man. So like that one's
Absolutely.
very intentional, unlike some of his other stuff.
Right.
Um,
Alrighty. Have you got anything else that you would like to
I
discuss?
I do kind of. It's mostly. I have a couple more. Well, I have a few more points, but most of them can kind of be combined-ish together. I'm kind of want to discuss some of the lyrics, but
Okay,
not
go for it.
not specific lyrics, but like the vibes of these lyrics, if that makes sense.
I
Um,
gotcha.
so I love. I was listening to it, and I really was kind of examining the lyrics a bit more,
Hmm.
and it's really it's really great. I like it. Um, when I don't know what to say, that's generally what I go to. But I love the kind of this idea of wanting to be remembered as we kind of see
Oh.
through this where I leave my reflection on the glass. And if I look, and if I look back when I begin to leave, will they remember me? Like this idea of wanting to be remembered, but then also that mixed with the this spontaneity, like this wanting,
Yeah.
this long for adventure that we see through the good evening shuttle bus, tell me where you're going to take us, and
Hmm.
I hope someplace that we've never been. And there's like lots of lyrics that kind of lean in towards this like spontaneity of wanting to go on adventures and just going places you've never been before,
Hmm.
coupled with the idea of wanting to be remembered. it's very
Absolutely.
it's
I
very
don't know.
interesting because
I love that.
it's I don't know. um I don't know why I like that so much. It just kind of gives this sense of doing something about your life,
Hmm.
you kind of like it. Just it's one of those just do it kind of songs, like, oh, you've got dreams and things you want to do, just kind of go chase that adventure. And it's not like
Absolutely.
he's going through and saying this, but this is kind of like the undertone of like the vibes I
Hmm.
get from the lyrics.
It's almost like he wants to make a mark on the world, but at the same time, just show up, make people happy, do something fun, and then leave.
Exactly. See, you just took what I was trying to like think in my head and like took it and put it into words. That's exactly what I was thinking. Is this? It's almost like this warring against was. Let me try this again. It's almost like this warring against what you want, of
Hmm.
wanting to be this person that's remembered for like the great things they did, but also just wanting to live life. But
Absolutely.
ultimately, some people are known for just kind of living life, and maybe that's kind of what you want to be known for. um
Right.
and maybe this song's kind of about how you do that, rather than finding this great way to be remembered. Maybe it's trying to find a way to be remembered by just living life.
That's a really good way to sum it up. I like that. It kind of just encapsulates the whole thing. Exactly what we were just talking about.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's one of those songs that just kind of take you on a little adventure.
You kind of, I guess the maximalist kind of shows that as well because it's a little bit of everything.
A little bit of
And
everything. Yeah.
he wants to see everything, so it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I can see that. The kind of wanting everything, but then also the subtlety of all the different
Mhm.
layers, which, I feel like that sums up life, is that life isn't necessarily the big things we do. It's the little things we do that kind of add up to something big.
Mhm.
Wow, now
Absolutely.
we're getting all deep and philosophical over here.
Philosophical. This is
I
what
did not
happens when you
expect that
record
turn.
late at night.
Uh,
Oh boy. Alrighty. So what else you
uh,
got?
I've got one more point,
All right, hit me.
and I've got to bring this to the table. I
Oh.
love early birdie as we have discussed. I love all of Maybe
Mhm.
I'm Dreaming, as we have discussed, and early birdie is a great sample of Maybe I'm Dreaming.
Mhm.
But oh, there
But
is a but. I have a
oh,
gripe.
not you.
Oh no, never me. I never have a gripe against any of Adam's songs. Never.
No, of course not.
But why? Answer me this. Why does a song called Early Birdie, open up with Good Evening?
Oh.
Why? Why, Adam?
No.
Maybe it's got a deeper meaning and I'm just not seeing it. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe Adam
It's
is
just
like
really
on a whole
deep.
other level that we're just not there yet.
It's just really, really deep.
So deep it doesn't even make sense.
It's a deep, dark hole that nobody's meant to open, Faith.
But I want to. I want the answers.
Hey, man. The truth will set you free. So I ain't fussing on you. Open that up. Open that can of
uh,
worms. Do it.
maybe maybe it's a commentary. Let me think. Let me rack my brain together and throw together a quick commentary on an early birdie, beginning with "Good evening." Maybe maybe it really isn't in the early morning. Maybe maybe it's like flipping the world on its head, where you're seeing an early birdie in the evening. Things
Oh.
aren't what they seem. Maybe that's when you see the greatest adventures, is when you go outside of what things are supposed to be. You're supposed to see early
Oh,
birdies in the
wait.
morning, but you're seeing an early birdie in the evening? Well, there's your great adventure starting right there.
Oh, my. We're going somewhere. Wait,
Shuttle,
literally.
shuttle bus, tell us we're gonna take us someplace that we've never been.
Ah,
It's all coming together, Sapph. It's making sense.
it's all making sense. You said you
I have
wanted to
found
know the
the
truth.
answers. But
This
see,
is
now I
it.
can't have gripes against it if I have answers. Gracious. I've
You'll have to
ruined
find
it
a
for
new grape.
myself.
Find a new grape. It's okay. You can bring it up
Fine, I'll
next
go find
episode.
another song. I'll go find another song to be mad at then.
What if the whole theme of this podcast is eventually, with every song we bring up or every topic we bring up, your gripe just completely disappears
That
at
would
the
be
end?
ideal. That would be ideal, that suddenly all my gripes are cured. Um,
Hey, we're talking this out. This is how you fix problems, baby. This is it.
got gotta look outside that box.
Indeed, indeed. All right.
I think that's all my points.
I love it so much. It's beautiful. You're beautiful too.
Do you have any other points to bring to the table?
I do not. Are we ready for questions?
We are. I think so. You
Okay.
want to
Do you
start
want to
with
go
yours?
first?
I don't know. I can start with
Oh,
mine if you want, or you can start with yours. How do we want to do this?
I've got mine pull up. So we could do this where we do mine and then yours, and then mine and then yours, or vice versa.
You can start, and then we can switch back and forth. That sounds good. Since I
Alrighty.
just spent all my time ranting and going off a tangent, you can
This
start.
is the name of the podcast.
What?
So I said that's the name of the podcast, though. We're supposed to be talking. This is a conversation, man.
I guess that is the point of a podcast. That does make sense. I like
Hopefully, people
podcasts.
like us. If they don't, we're happy. If
Yes.
they do like us, they can come with us for some reason on the shuttle bus. Yay!
If they don't like us, they're gonna come on the shuttle bus. I'm
If
confused.
they do like us, if they do like us,
Oh, and if they don't, they're just gonna like go somewhere else.
I guess they'll just stay in the same destination.
That yeah, but they'll know
Spoil
where
sports.
they'll be, and we won't because we're going on a shuttle bus, and we don't know where we're gonna
Exactly.
go on it. Someplace that we've
Yeah,
never been. That's all we know. Um,
that's all we know. That's all I
that's all we
know.
know. Man. But anyway, maybe we should get on some Q&A.
Making people laugh. That's the name of the game here.
And apparently so. Do we want to have a little intro bit for the questions? Moving into the
Um,
good evening Q&A,
See, I'm
something
trying
like
to figure
that.
out how to edit this and whether I just leave all this in, which honestly, I kind of say yes.
It can just be a
So
quick I mean,
we'll just
I'll
move
say
on to the questions.
that out. Yes, move on to questions.
All right. Okay, so my questions both come from MCM underscore 120 on
I'm gonna,
Instagram.
I'm gonna, I'm gonna say something real quick. Can we? You're gonna have to redo your intro because I accidentally cut in. But can we just do a quick transition of saying we ask weekly question, or we ask you to ask us
Yeah,
questions every week on Instagram, and here are the few that we've picked, just so that
yeah,
people
we
are
can do that.
knowing where these questions are coming from, to further promote ourselves. Haha.
All right. Smart. Okay, let's see. Right, so this week we have asked a bunch of hoot owls. This week we've asked a bunch of hoot owls um, to give us questions, and we're going to do this weekly for every podcast. So if you want a chance to be able to get your question asked and maybe get a shout out in the video, follow us on shuttlebus underscore podcast on Instagram, and you may get a shout out. We will post question posts weekly. I hope that works. It's
That should be fun.
a little rough,
Little
but
rough.
hey.
It's okay. It's only our first episode.
Alrighty, so my questioner for both of these questions is MCM underscore 120. And the first question is, which version of the saltwater room is your favorite? Ocean Eyes or Maybe I'm Dreaming? Faith, you want to take it?
Oh goodness. See, I feel like because I knew this was gonna be the question you asked me, and I feel like I
Mm-hmm.
actually should have been far more prepared than I am
Uh,
because I should have gone back and listened to both of them to better formulate an opinion. I
ah,
don't really know if I have one
okay.
at the top of my head because, like, if I remember correctly, because there isn't there also two versions of On the Wing and Maybe I'm Dreaming and an Ocean Eyes. What was Adam doing? He's just repurposing all of his. Maybe that's why Ocean Eyes is good because it's just got Maybe I'm Dreaming on it.
It does, it's
But
true.
like the Ocean Eyes versions, if I remember correctly, are a little bit more polished. I think they have a bit more of an intro to them.
Mm-hmm.
The both
It
of those,
does.
I think, for Maybe I'm Dreaming, kind of cut straight to the point of the song. We kind of just dive into it. I don't know which one of those I like better. I'm
I
kind of
personally prefer the Maybe I'm Dreaming because it has that little extra intro, but I prefer the alternate lyrics. And it's also a little bit longer. It may not be polished, but I really like the way the lyrics flow on it.
yeah. I think I'm gonna.
I feel.
I don't remember what the alternate lyrics are now that I think about it. What are I know, but I don't know.
Um,
I forgot. I knew this at one point, but I forgot.
well, I could tell you if I can remember because I'm on the spot.
Um, maybe see, maybe we'll have to turn this into a whole like podcast discussion at some point,
Yeah, I'd be down.
discussing the alternate versions of songs
That is a hot topic.
because there are a few. There's
Mhm.
what, at least two, three? No, there's three
Oh, wait,
that have been
wait.
re-released. Um,
Let's say we've got the
because
rap and
Hello
the no rap of
Seattle.
Alligator
Well,
Sky as
yeah.
well.
Well, see, then yeah, there's that, which is the rap and no rap, but then we have, like even songs that were just previously released on other albums or EPs
Mhm.
and then re-released on later, like
That's
Hello
true.
Seattle, On the Wing, and Saltwater Room.
Yeah.
So we'll have to
On the
discuss
wing, I
that at
forgot
some
about
point
that one.
because I don't know if I actually have an answer right now because I don't remember. I kind of, if I remember them correctly, I kind of lean towards, from my initial answer, maybe I'm Dreaming's version of the
Mhm.
Saltwater Room because it kind of has that little bit more of like this gritty, raw sound to it,
Yeah.
which I really like from maybe I'm Dreaming as a whole. But maybe I'm just misremembering it. And maybe if I go back and listen, my answer will be different. So I feel like we need to re come or like come back to this question
Mhm.
as an actual like podcast discussion where we have more to like discuss and we've had time to listen to like the different versions and actually like discuss our thoughts on it.
Absolutely. You
You
want to
want
go
me
next?
to? Yep, I will transition into my question. I have a question from Owl City Cast. Her question is, or I think it's a her. Let me try this again. We're gonna cut that. I actually don't know if
Okay.
it's a guy or a girl. We're gonna cut that and start over.
Editor notes.
Mm, Give me a second. I gotta get all
It's
prepared.
all good.
Oh, I have a question from Owl City Cast. They ask favorite Owl City song and least favorite Owl City song. Sapph, you wanna give your answers?
Ooh, okay, so least and favorite. Okay, I'm gonna have to think on least. And for my favorite, it is the Technicolor phase. I am
Mhm.
such a big fan. I love, love, love the way he describes everything. And maybe because it's an artist, I'm an artist, so the colors of everything really mean a lot to me. When I look at something, I just see color everywhere. You know, I love that. Least favorite. Hmm. Least favorite. It's really, really hard to choose. A lot of people are probably going to get mad at me for this. Um, I feel like I'm not a big fan, or let me say this way, because I actually wasn't a big fan of 5th of July when it first came out. Only when it first came out. Um, if I had to pick my least, it would be a tie between it and maybe, is it That's What the Man Said? Is that one?
I think so. I've
I
only
feel like
listened
it
to that
was
like once, I think. The Paul
it's
McCartney
mhm,
thing.
mhm. I believe that's right. Which, although Paul McCartney is like a fantastic music name, so all respect. But I feel like it would be a tie between those because I feel like unless it's done in a certain way, Adam doesn't have a great country voice. It can be done like on Back Home with, I'm blanking, I believe
Jay
it's
going?
Jay Cohen's. Yep, that's right. That sounds right.
We're gonna go with
That
it.
one's done really well. But in terms of That's What the Man Said, it's a little rough to me. You don't sound country enough. And that's maybe just me coming from the southern state, but maybe not. I'm not sure.
I'll let you have the authority on that one. I don't know.
Uh,
I
I
don't
mean,
have
you're
enough. I
Southern
don't listen
too,
to enough
so
country. Um, so that's what the man said, or 5th of July are kind of your low end.
mhm,
So for me, I don't know if I have a quote unquote least favorite because I like all the Owl City songs.
right.
Um, I'm trying to think of flip through the ones that I don't listen to that much. I don't listen to the Midsummer Station often, but that's just because it's not on Amazon Music. If it was on Amazon
Oh,
Music, I would definitely listen to it more. So I'm trying to think, what songs do I not listen to very often? For me, it's probably between Bombshell Blonde and maybe Good Times.
wow.
I
Alright.
don't Good Times is okay, but
Right.
the funny thing is, Adam in an interview regarding Good Times, he's like, "Oh, I feel like as artists we kind of get this one chance to like create this like fun summer song that's like this like just about having a good time." And he said he feels like that's it for him was Good Times was his opportunity. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I know a lot of people love it. It's really popular. I just don't get the hype for it. And that's the thing is it's not that I don't like it. It's just I don't get the hype that goes around it. It's decent at most. Um I'll listen to
Okay.
it sometimes. I'm like, oh wow, this is actually really fun. I get it why people like it, but then it's not the one I find myself going to. If I'm looking for a song from Adam that's like the super like upbeat, like, oh, if I think of a song that represents like, oh, a fun summer song, we're gonna go out and have fun this summer kind of song.
Mhm.
It is Clap Your Hands. That one is far better, in my opinion, than Good Times.
Wait, remind me where that's from.
He made it for a golf video game.
Oh,
You can find it on YouTube, I know. It's like
I
called Everybody's
feel
Golf or
like
something like that. I don't remember. But it was made for a video game. But that one is far, in my opinion, far better as like a fun summer song than Good Times. So for me, it's either between, as my least favorite, it's between Bombshell Blonde and Good Times. Bombshell Blonde, I have a hard time getting behind because we've discussed this
right.
briefly, Sapph. But it's just because it's just I don't know. It's Adam in a different light, and I don't know if I like that light
It's a
that we're
little
seeing it in.
too racy for the
Or it little
homeschoolers,
too.
the
It's like as I said,
Christian homeschoolers.
yeah. It's like oh, this is too much. It's like the song that like growing up, I was like, I hope my parents like never hear this song, or they're gonna completely ban me from Owl City.
Oh no.
That was kind of like my thought. And like I've listened to it now that I'm older and it's like it's cool. I like the song. The actual production is great.
Mhm.
It's cool. Um the lyrics I have a harder time getting
Right.
behind. It's just a little racy like you said.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
But now that I've ranted too long on my least favorite Owl City songs, as I apparently am known for at this point. Um, I don't know if I want this reputation, but I'm going with it. My my favorite Owl City song is probably "Under the Circus Lights."
Ooh.
I really like that song. That
Yes,
one,
I know.
for me, it's because the release of Coco Moon was incredibly special to me.
Mhm.
Specifically, that like week leading, like all this like kind of journey that we all went on together, were leading
Oh
up to
my
the
gosh.
release of Coco Moon, and like the fun night that we all spent together, staying up listening to it, and like I was up till like 4 or 5 in the morning talking about it with all you guys, like you and some of our other friends, and like it was probably one of the best nights of my life. It was great, and just the the awestruck that like the whole Coco Moon album like put me in. I was awestruck at like this production that he had created. But for me, Under the Circus Lights encapsulates my thoughts on Coco Moon. This
Mm.
like I always describe it as Coco Moon is the girl in the flying trapeze.
Oh, I like
And like
that.
yeah, I really could go on like explain like lyric by lyric and line by line how it describes perfectly my view on Coco Moon. I really could.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm trying to keep it short, but I feel
We'll
like I've
have to
gone on.
save that for
Yeah,
next week.
I I really could talk about it for a really long time. It's just and like the whole idea of like, oh, I was so enamored, and like that's yeah, that just describes perfectly how I felt about Coco Moon. So
Exactly.
because Coco Moon was so special to me, having a song that described that experience so well for me made that song so special to me.
Mm,
So
I love that.
those are my least and most favorite Owl City songs. You want to
Yes.
take it away with your next question?
Oh, that was a good transition. Smooth. I like it. Yeah, so the second question, again, comes from MCM_120. Thank you for all the questions, my guy. So which version of Alligator Sky do you prefer? With the rap or without the rap? Dave?
I'm gonna go without the rap. It's not that I don't
Mm,
like the rap. I just prefer the alternate lyrics in the no rap
yeah,
version. It's just
I'm gonna have to say because I love the rap version, and normally I can take the I don't know if there's an neutral version, but normally I can take the no rap version and time when Christopher comes in, which is great and it's really fun, and I like to pretend rap, but I do prefer the alternate lyrics myself. So, of the same mind there.
once again, it just kind of encapsulates our Adam's dreaminess.
Absolutely, dreamily, dreamily,
Dreamily. Dreamily. It's a dreamily song.
dreamily. Yes, he is very dreamily.
I'm gonna start using that now.
Oh
The
boy,
ultimate way to describe Adam's song, dreamily.
dreamily. Oh dear. Alrighty, your next question.
Oh, the last one. I
Oh,
I I know you told me how to say her name, but then I forgot. So I'm gonna let
oh,
you pronounce her name.
okay. Well,
If
this
you
question
remember.
comes from Shar Chang.
She asks, "Where did you all get your podcast name?" Sapph, you wanna
Ooh.
explain that one?
Okay, I've kind of been thinking about this one, and I'm glad that you picked this question. Uh, so it's probably gonna be the same from both of us, but essentially, the song that we were talking to and or talking about,
Early Birdie.
Early Birdie. Thank you, Faith. I'm sorry, I'm kind of starting to get a little scatterbrained.
I've got your back.
Basically, Early Birdie, as we've talked about, the shuttle bus is mentioned. It says, "Good evening, shuttle bus. Where are you going to take us?" So I was being a goofball one night, and may or may not have sent Faith a very silly video. And I said, "Oh, look, good evening vibes." And she took it from there. And then a week later, we have a podcast.
Yeah. Skip a few details, but you know, we're here.
We are here now.
Yeah, that it's just that's pretty much sums it up. I do like that like I don't know, shuttle bus works ever so greatly as a name.
Yes,
The whole idea of where are you going to take us is the great concept for a podcast. Like, because that's really
absolutely.
the concept behind our podcast and like the way we market it is come join us for this conversation slash discussion and we're going to see where it takes us and we're going to go on a new adventure every week or every other week.
And I
And
am
so I
so
just,
pumped for that.
yes, I really am.
Like,
I
this
like,
is, I've been
it's so
thinking about
exciting.
this all week.
I have
Uh,
not been, I don't think I've thought about anything else other than this podcast all week long. It has
I know
been,
you. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I said it has been on my brain all week long, nonstop.
Shuttle bus brain rot.
Yes.
You've put so much work into this over the past week, and honestly, I have to say, thank you so much for suggesting that this would be a podcast and for doing so much work on it because that's just it's an honor to work on it with you. So, thank you.
Oh, same to you, kiddo. Same to
Aw.
you. It's one of those things that I felt like I was like, well, one, and I get really excited. So I'm like, oh, I can
Mhm.
make the logo, and I can like make an intro song, and I can do this, and I can do that, because I get really excited. But then
Mhm.
I felt
Mhm.
really bad because you'd be taking on like the bulk of the work, which is like the recording and the editing. And so I was like, I'm trying to like make sure that I'm not leaving it all on your plate because you are going to be
No.
doing so much. And so like I, j- I don't know. I feel like it worked out though. I feel like we're going to make a good team for this. We're
This
kind of playing
ran really smoothly for the first recording session, so I think this is
really.
great.
It really has. Like I feel like we're really playing into each other's strengths.
Mhm.
You know, you have your more of the skill and like the editing and the recording and finding all those tools to do that. And I'm like, oh, but I understand how like to do the social media marketing, so I'm going to lean into that. So we're just, I think it's great that we get to kind of play into each other's strengths.
I'm so
It's really
excited.
exciting to see where this goes. I had a bit of
Woo!
jitters right before we recorded, but all those jitters are gone. It's just, this has been fun. It's like, it's no different than as if we were talking, just the two of
Mhm.
us. But at the same time, it is, and that's kind of more exciting. Not like more exciting than us just talking, but it adds this other level of excitement.
Right.
Not to say
I'm
that
so with
talking
you.
with you is just boring.
I mean, yeah, same, because every time we talk, and literally it's kind of wild to see and just remember back to what was it, Sunday was our first time on an actual video
Yes,
call. We've been talking for several years at this point, but that was our first time on video call, and so this coming
literally.
to fruition in a week is
That is
wild.
crazy. Like that is crazy. Like
Oh
we hopped
god.
in that first video chat or audio chat, whatever we want to call it, and it's like we do this all the time. You never thought that
Mhm.
that was our first time doing it because it was just as if our kind of like the same banter we have when we're texting. So that's crazy.
It's so awesome. I love it so much.
Very exciting.
Alrighty.
Thank you so much for joining us this week as we discussed early birdie. Join us next week at our topical destination, Cocoa Moon Deluxe. You can also find us on Instagram at shuttlebus_podcast, where you can find regular updates on the podcast and more Owl City fun. See you next time.
Yay! Bye!
Bye. That was fun.